So, what if I was just to, say it was post-1911? Like, what's council going to do then? I get this question all the time when it comes to talking about like DA triggers, renovation options for houses, all of that sort of stuff. So I thought, hey, in this week's video, why don't I share my answer with you guys? Now, I do want to say from the very, very beginning, there is a very big difference between the practical reality and the technical response. And what I'm going to give you today is the Debbie Downer technical response. So yeah, I want to make it clear that I'm not living like in this naive little bubble in the world where I think everything's black and white, all of that sort of stuff. I understand there is a practical reality here. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to give you the technical response because I kind of, quite frankly, need to cover my backside. And then what you guys do from there, that's up to you guys. That is not my problem. So just to backtrack a little bit here, what I'm talking about is a situation where you've got an old house, so a pre-1947 house in the TBC or traditional building character overlay. So it's a situation where we've worked through all of the potential scope of works and we've gone, there's exemptions for everything except potentially the demolition of the rear lean-to roof. Typically this is where it comes up. So people want to remove that rear lean-to roof to be able to extend backwards, and all other aspects of the development are exempt, so they don't trigger a town planning application except for potentially that small bit of demolition work at the rear. And I say potentially because the defining factor is, was it pre-1911 or post-1911? If it's pre-1911, then it's accessible because in super simple terms, when you're in the TBC overlay, the demolition beyond the highest and rearmost ridge exemption, mouthful, does not apply. So yeah, if it's pre-1911, you trigger for that aspect, it's accessible demolition work. If it's post-1911, then you don't trigger, happy days, you continue on to the certifier, no town planning required, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's how this question comes up. So then, yeah, when I explain that to people and when I go, hey, look, we really need to work out whether it's pre or post 1911, we work through those initial resources, we hit a bit of a roadblock, let's just say, in terms of what I have access to. This is where this question comes up. People just go, okay, well, what happens if we just say it's post 1911 and go on our merry way? Now, there's two key things that I say to people here. First and foremost, the certifier should be checking to see that it's post 1911. So as part of their review process, they are required to check that there is no town planning triggers. The cold hard truth, the reality is that a lot of certifiers out there don't realise that the onus is on them to check that, or they feel or believe that the pre-1911 overlay can be relied on for the purpose of determining if it's pre-1911, which it can't be. Story for a different video, different day type thing. But yeah, so there's certain certifiers that will miss it, and then there is other certifiers that will probably blindly trust whatever you put in front of them. So you could package up some convenient information that tips the scales in your favour of arguing it's post-1911, and they might accept that and move on their merry way. So yes, the practical reality is you may get to the certifier and you may slip through. However, if you're going to any decent sort of certifier, or as certifiers' knowledge start to build and all of that sort of stuff, they will ask the question and they will ask for formal clarification. So something from a heritage expert or someone with a bit more understanding in this space. Now, one of the biggest stresses in my job at the moment is the fact that everyone has a builder lined up ready to go tomorrow. And I mean everyone, and they just need that approval now. They do not have time to be stopping, pausing, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, the big risk here is that you get all the way through to that final certification step, and the certifier at last second goes, oh wait, hold on a sec, this could be pre-1911, we need to do some checks. You've then got to hit pause to either do further digging, engage someone like the house detective to do that extra layer of assessment, etc., etc., or you go down the process of lodging an application, whether it's a preemptive or an actual application for the partial demolition work. Either way, you're hitting pause, you're treading water for a while there. It is not fun. Like I said, especially if you've got the builder ready to start tomorrow. So that's the first thing you got to factor in. Then the second thing is, okay, let's imagine for a moment, you get through, for a second I was trying to say, you get through the certifier, happy days, you start construction on site. What if someone finds some evidence down the track to contradict your assessment or confirm that it is pre-1911? And you're probably sitting there just going, like, that's going to happen. I've heard of two situations in the last probably 2 years where exactly that has happened. So neither were my jobs, thankfully, and I didn't have to get involved in this poo show, but I heard stories basically where two neighbours, they were disgruntled neighbours, decided to try and threw a curveball at the neighbours, basically. So in one situation, from memory, they didn't really have any evidence. They just threw the statement out there to say, hey, I believe it could be pre-1911. And then there was a complaint made, etc., etc. So the neighbours had to go and investigate. In another situation, the neighbour went absolute full detective mode and found some really obscure note. I think it was like in a Trove advert or something like that. and prove that it was, or tipped the balance of probabilities, and tip the scales, I'm trying to say, in favour of it being pre-1911, and then submitted that information to council and went, yo, they've done some unlawful demolition work. They did not get approval to remove the rear portion of the pre-1911 house. Now, partial demolition is the only thing that council cannot issue retrospective approval for. So you can't just go, whoops, so sorry, I'll lodge a retrospective application now and tie off those loose ends. Does not work like that. The only way to resolve that these days, and it is these days, is through compliance action. So what does compliance action look like? Who knows? It is a constantly evolving space. So up until now, I've kind of said to clients, look, if you can demonstrate that you didn't intentionally do the dodgy, you did all reasonable steps or took all reasonable steps to try and prove it was post-1911, you realistically thought it was post-1911, and if you're not an absolute a-hole to them, to the compliance guys when they turn up on site, if you just go, look, I'm happy to work with you here, my bad type thing, generally, and probably third caveat is if it's only a small amount of demolition work, generally speaking, from what I've seen recently, they will kind of give you a slap on the wrist, say, guys, don't do this again, close the case, move on. However, we have recently, well not recently, it's probably 6 to 12 months ago now, all pretty much heard about the cases where council's taken people to court. And yes, I'm going to address the elephant in the room and say the fines to date have been teeny tiny in the scheme of things. Like I think we all heard about that case earlier this year where someone, I can't remember whether they did full demolition or pretty much full demolition, but they did a lot of demolition work. There might have only been the stick posts left supporting the corners or something like that. And they got like $100,000 fine in the court system. So everyone, like I'm not sharing secrets here, everyone looked at that and just went, oh my goodness, like that is just a cost of development. It costs more than $100,000 to work around the existing structure and a renovation. Like heck yes, pay the $100,000, demolish the house, start afresh, happy days type thing. So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and pretend, oh my goodness, the fines are crazy, like you're going to get ridiculous retribution, etc., etc. However, because we've all been talking about the fines that have been in play earlier this year, etc., the council is under increasing pressure to step up their game in this space, and it could literally change tomorrow. So council's under pressure, first and foremost, to increase the fines to make the monetary value a lot higher, but then also to introduce criminal convictions and all of that sort of stuff. So you need to consider, if you get a criminal conviction, what does that mean in terms of future business opportunities, home loan opportunities, all of that sort of stuff. Like that is a big deal if you get that. So you don't want to go down that path. So yeah, just to recap, back in the beginning, the onus is on you as the applicant to work out whether it's pre or post 1911. If you get to a point where the answer's not obvious, I have to encourage you to dig further, to engage a specialist in this space to find the answers or try and find the answers. And if you can't find the answers, to probably do a preemptive or proactive application and assume the worst, err on the side of caution, assume it could be pre-1911 and get the approval for it. Because in the scheme of things, council's partial demolition fees, what, 1095 at the moment? Most people these days are spending well over $1 million. Like you can only get a carport these days for less than $1 million basically. So when you sort of look at the dollar value, it's like, let's just get that, pay that council fee, get the application and the approval in the very beginning if we're really not sure what the answer is here, just to tick all the boxes and avoid the stress and all of that sort of stuff down the track. Stress in terms of time delays, the hitting the brakes, like I said, at certification stage, or that constant what if factor. What if a neighbour's going to get a bee in their bonnet and go digging to find something to complain about? Or what if, another scenario I've just thought of now, what if someone uncovers a new resource down the track and then council's like, great, we're going to go and check all of these houses that have been identified through this resource, and it just comes about that way. Like, I know people are probably going to go, what's the chances of that? It happened, and it's a while ago now, but like 10 years ago now, they uncovered the 1911 contour map. And I literally had a job in with council at that point in time. It's like ingrained in my mind or scarred in my mind. Had a job in with council for a pre-47 house demolition, and midway through the assessment of that application, that contour map came to light, and council's like, brakes on, we need to go back because this has now been proven to be pre-1911 because it's a little outline of a house in your site location on this map, blah, blah, blah. So then we had to go and basically start again, and it changed the assessment path we were on. So the opportunity, no. The prospects, I can't think of the word right now. Let's go with the potential. There we go. That's the word I'm going for. The potential of a resource coming up in the future. Look, odds are low, but it could still happen. So it needs to be factored in. Okay, I think that covers off everything I want to talk about today. As I always like to say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got three. Number one, The advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number 2, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number 3, what was my number 3? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all. Bye.